All right, welcome to another SEC baseball preview from Southern Sports Gumbo. Tonight we're talking Kentucky baseball. Kevin, get us started here.
So Kentucky baseball, you think of them traditionally, and they're not one of your traditional powerhouses in baseball. But since Nick Mangione been there, they've been a consistent team that has either played in the NCAA tournament or flirted with it, made runs in the NCAA tournament. I believe it was back in 22. They made it to a super regional. This team has been close to a College World Series, and I think this team potentially could be that team that maybe breaks through. When you look at, they were 31 and 26 last year, 13 and 17. Preseason, they're ranked in three polls: 118, 121, 123. Um, when you look at their roster, probably most people would say they're between 18 and maybe 32 nationally. But again, when you really dig into their team, I think they're a solid top 20 team that could, break through, end up as a number one seed somewhere. I don't think they'll be a super seed, a 1 through 8, but I think they could very easily be a 9 through 16 and a team that could make it to the College World Series. So to get in it and break them down, I'm going to start with the pitching staff because I think their pitching staff could be one of the best in the SEC. um, we've talked about teams not having a true number one on Friday. Well, Kentucky does. Ben Cleaver, 9 and 3 last year, left-handed guy that really is a good pitcher. Pitches, again, he's done really well, and he's a true number one. They also have Nate Harris and Jackson Jelkin. Harris was a 2 last year for him. Jelkin pitched it. He transferred, and they expected him to pitch last year. Had some arm trouble, so they rested him. Was back this year. 2 years ago at Houston, he was a standout for them. So he gives them a solid 3. They also have Leighton Harris, who is a guy that can be in there and give them a solid 4. Ira Austin is in that pitching group too. So a really strong group of starters, and again, they've always had good arms that they bring in out of the bullpen, and they'll have that again this year. It's a team that has 878 innings returning from last year in SEC play. So that's a lot of innings, with experience and good experience. And they pitched pretty well last year, so that's not bad experience that's coming back. You flip that over to their everyday lineup. Again, a lot of experienced guys. Uh, Last year, they had a lot of new players on this team. Had over 800 at bats that they returned this year. So this is not a team that lacks experience this year. Let's start, with catcher Tagger Tyson. He hit 296 at Louisville. He is a transfer portal guy, but again, ACC baseball is good baseball, so that is not a typical portal that your guy that you're kind of wondering if he'll be able to carry that over. Traditionally, ACC guys can step into the SEC and play very well. Hudson Brown's their first baseman. He started there last year. He's 260, 270 type guy, solid player. Then you get back up the middle. Luke Lawrence, second baseman, hit 306. Tyler Bell, potential SEC player of the year there with him. 296 right at 300. He was a freshman last year. Hit about 580 as far as slugging percentage. So he can hit the ball deep and good player. Tyler Cerny is at third base, hit 281. He's a transfer, but again, a good player. So when you just stop right there and look at their infield, one of the best defensive infields you'll have right there. Up the middle, Tyson, Bell, Lawrence. There's not a better combination just right up the middle defensively than what they're going to bring. Let me also add Owen Welch is a freshman. He's the number one rated catcher coming into college baseball. Tyson's proven, so I'm not sure that you'll need him. But again, just speaks to the potential and how they look at defense and how it's important to their team. Get into their outfield, really good hitters and guys with speed that can run the bases, and that's what Mangione is all about. You have Ryan Schwartz, who played at Kentucky last year, hit 317. He's coming back. Good player. Then you have Jay Starnish, who's a transfer. Been hit over 403. I think he stole 32 bases last year with So, he brings that into Kentucky, so you can pretty much pencil him in for 20 stolen bases with the style that they play at a minimum. And then Scott Campbell, he hit 388 for USC Upstate, a team that made the tournament last year. And, we've talked about some of their other players, and, that was a very good team. Actually won a game in the tournament, beat Winthrop. So Campbell, I think, will start in left field for him. You also have Carson Harden, who can be the DH, play in the outfield. And he's a 280 hitter. So plenty of guys that are going to hit 280, 300 and above. They're going to make contact. That's how they play. They're going to steal bases with good pitching and good defense. I really like the way Mingione plays. This is how I grew up playing baseball. You steal bases, back in the 80s where you had guys that could really run, Tim Raines, Ricky Henderson, and those guys. And that's how Kentucky plays. And that puts a lot of pressure on defenses. And, I just look at Mangione. When you play one of his teams, they're always going to come at you because they know they're going to hit in the 300s. They know they have plenty of pitching depth. You may get jump out on them 3-0, 4-1, but they're going to continue to whittle away because they know they're going to have those innings that they're going to get a guy on base, steal a base, put pressure on a defense, create an error, steal another base, and they get 2 or 3 runs. And that's just how they play. And, most teams in college baseball today play station to station and hit the 3-run homer. Kentucky's just the opposite of that. They're always going to have 3 to 4 guys, 20 stolen bases. Again, you've got Tharnish, Campbell, Schwartz that can do that, Bell that can run the bases, Lawrence that can run the bases. So they're gonna be what they traditionally are, and with experience. So this will be a team. They took a little step back last year, but this will be a team with experience that I think can be in the top of the SEC. I put them, at about a 15-15 floor with an 18-12 ceiling in the SEC. Because again, I don't. When I look at their team, I don't think there's anybody any better up the middle, catcher, shortstop, second, center field. You may have some teams as good, and then when I look at their 3 starters, I think they have 3 starters that are absolutely proven in the 1, 2, and 3 role. Even though Jelkin didn't pitch last year, he has, and he's proven himself as a weekend starter when he pitched for Houston. So I think this is a team that, if they're on your schedule, you don't want to play them. I'll just say that because they're a team that every night you play them, between their pitching, the way they run their bases, the way they hit the ball, there's not an off night. You're going to have to beat them, and again, they have a true number one. So I like this Kentucky team. I love the way Mangione coaches. I think he gets the most out of them. And I think this is a team, like I said, that during the regular season, probably 15 to 18. I think they could end up with a number one seed. And again, with an upset, might make it to the College World Series. What's your thoughts, D Mac?
Yeah, the thing that sticks out to me the most is their schedule. They do miss Mississippi State, Texas, Texas A&M, and Georgia. So that's 4 preseason top 15 teams. But the way their schedule finishes with Tennessee, Florida, and Arkansas in the last 3 weekends of the season, if they're sitting at, what is it, 10-8 going into that stretch, or I guess 13-10 or 11-10 with those 9 games, that's a really tough stretch at the end of the season. Yeah, I would put the floor on this team at like 14-16, and I would probably put their ceiling at like 16-14. I just think they're that balanced of a team. And there's a chance you could host a regional at 16-14. So I don't, they're not bad by any means, but I think they're just so consistent and the way they play, they need pitching to be phenomenal, which I don't doubt, Cleaver or Harris at all. But there will be some weekends where, if a team scores 4 runs in 7 innings, that might be enough to beat Kentucky with the lack of power, and the way they play. So, I think they're definitely, a regional 2 seed at worst. Most likely, they'll have a good chance to host. Yeah, from just a fielding and a pitching standpoint, I think they're one of the best in the, SEC. Even though they, don't play to power, I think there are certain teams where that's gonna be a huge disadvantage for them that we'll see. But they're a solid, like, 6 through 9 type of SEC team. Um, and, if you're number 6, you're probably hosting a regional, so that's no knock on them by any means.
I like the 3 series you mentioned at the end of the season, and here's why I like them. If I compare Kentucky to Florida, certainly not the brand, in baseball, but just the team. I'll be honest, I like Kentucky's lineup better than I like Florida's. And I know, Florida's number 1 is preseason all SEC, but I'm not sure I don't like Cleaver more than Florida's number 1. So, I think I really like Kentucky to win that series. Arkansas would be a tough one. Again, though, when you look at Tennessee, Tennessee's got a lot of talent, uh, and more talented than last year's Kentucky team, but there's a lot of unknown on the Tennessee team. Their pitching staff at Tennessee has more question marks than probably they've had since, Vitello was, maybe his 1st or 2nd year, and obviously he's not the coach this year with Josh Ellender there. So I really like Kentucky in 2 of those 3 series. I wouldn't take them over Arkansas, but I think they beat Florida, and I think they very well could take 2 out of 3 in tennis from Tennessee, unless Tennessee, everything rolls for them. If they have if Coons comes on, pitches well, uh, and their, Mac pitches well in that 2 role, and they really come on in Tennessee, I would take them. But it would not surprise me that if Kentucky's ahead of Tennessee in the conference standings, just based on experience and again top level players returning, Tennessee certainly has more ceiling in some of their guys. But I like Kentucky to be very competitive. I think worst case scenario on those 3 series, I think you could see them, go 4-5, 5-4, and I think that would be enough for them to have a solid year. So, but that's definitely a good call out to see how they finish. I think if they can, if they could go 6-3 in those, then they certainly would take that momentum and do well in the NCAA's.
Yeah, the one big plus that Tennessee series is at Kentucky, so no Mickey Mouse, ballpark that
That's right.
weekend. The
Which
ball should.
favors Kentucky
Yeah,
because if the Kentucky does not have the home run power, if they were playing in Tennessee, that would be a big advantage to Tennessee with their ability to hit the long.
yeah, but I would rank this staff definitely top 3 pitching staff in the SEC with what they bring back.
I think you have to. I mean, you've got 3 starters that could give you 6 innings plus in a starting role, and a couple of them give you 7 on a given weekend, and that's just not a common thing. I mean, you talk, 28 innings over a weekend, you get 20 innings out of 3 guys. That puts you in a pretty good place to piece your bullpen together and be very situational, left-handed, right-handed, and how you finish out those games. I think it just gives them a tremendous advantage. That and their defense up the middle.
Yeah, definitely. One guy I'm eager to see is, Tyler Cerny, their 3rd baseman. Um, you know, Big Ten baseball is not SEC or ACC baseball, but he's still put together, over 3 years, that 290 average, with a little power that could, help this Kentucky team. If he can duplicate that and hit 10 to 12 home runs, with the guys who are gonna be on base, think that's gonna be a huge, huge plus for Kentucky to have a little power with Cerny and Bell at shortstop and third base. So this is going to be a regional team, without a doubt in my mind. For me, it just comes to, how well do they execute all year and can they host a regional?
Absolutely. And that's where personally I bet on Mingione. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're a 2 seed. That could upset someone also. No doubt about, I mean, they're gonna be a good team. They'll be in the tournament, and no doubt about the fact that whoever plays them is, gonna have to bring their lunch bucket and everything with them to beat them.
Yeah. Well, awesome. That's a wrap on Kentucky baseball tonight. We are now halfway done with our preseason previews. So we'll be coming with content every day leading up to opening day Friday. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. You're not going to hear a podcast talk SEC baseball like we are all year. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.